Whoa, buddy. Put that thing back in its holster. We haven't gone anywhere.
I don't understand.
Check out the MichaelDukesShow.com for information on how to get access to the podcast.
Welcome to the party, pal.
The Michael Dukes Show.
I have 2 guns, one for each of you.
Firearms Friday.
As Thomas Jefferson stated, it is the right and duty of the people to be at all times armed.
Say hello to my little friend.
I say that the Second Amendment is, in order of importance, the First Amendment. The right to keep and bear arms is the one right that allows rights to exist at all.
The Michael Dukes Show. The right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Firearms.
From my cold, dead hands.
Friday.
This is my rifle, this is my gun, this is for fun, and it's for fun.
Firearms Friday.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you know what day it is. It is our favorite day of the week, not just because it's the start of the weekend. No. It's our favorite day of the week because we get a chance to talk about one of our favorite topics, firearms, gun rights, tips, tricks, tactics, and more. It is the Second Amendment day of the week, Firearms Friday. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the program, broadcasting live across the state of Alaska on this, your favorite radio station and or FM translator, and live around the world on the internet at MichaelDukesShow.com, where you'll find links to the audio-only live stream and links to our social media sites, including Facebook and YouTube and Rumble, where the chat room is hanging out this morning, and more. Hello. Good morning, and welcome to it. It is the Michael Dukes Show, and it is a brisk and breezy 14 degrees now, I guess, outside the studios here on top of the world in Homer, Alaska, and we are ready to go. Little weather around the state. What is it? 10 below, 11 below in Fairbanks and snowing. It's we got some weather advisories. It's 11 degrees in Anchorage and all points in between. There is a lot of stuff going. If you're working up on the North Slope and listening on the live stream, then you know already there's a blizzard going on up there. Big blizzard. Wind gusts up to 60 miles an hour on the North Slope and in the Yukon-Koyukuk. Also, some winter weather advisories and warnings up in the Fairbanks area. There's a winter storm watch in Ketchikan in southeast and things like that. But up in the interior, winter weather advisories for the Denali Borough. Snow accumulation up to 6 inches, wind gusts up to 50. Fairbanks North Star Borough, snow expected. They're expecting up to 6 inches of snow with higher amounts in the up in the hills in the White Mountains. Wind gusts as high as 45 miles per hour in the high terrain, 30 miles an hour in the lower elevations. And it's going to be blowing snow, reduced visibilities, and that is from today until tomorrow. And they're saying that bridges and overpasses are going to be slick and hazardous, and you got to give yourself extra time and all that stuff. So big winter weather advisory up there in the Fairbanks area. Pretty calm right now here. And like I said, calm and clear, 14 degrees down here in Homer. And so when I see that and I see it's, 15, 20 below in Fairbanks, and it was 29 below zero yesterday in Fairbanks yesterday afternoon when I checked. And I checked because somebody was complaining about how cold their winter is and that nothing beats a winter where they're at. And I'm just like, man, I remember when I was a kid growing up in Fairbanks and they only closed the schools when it got 65 below or colder, which happened a couple times when I was a kid growing up. I remember they closed the schools. It was 65 below. And, this person's whining about the fact that it was, that it was 16 degrees and it was the worst kind of winter. Guys just don't know what winter's like. And I'm just like, hold my beer. Watch this. Anyway, it's been a crazy week. Welcome back to the old radio show. It is we got a lot to talk about today. We're going to finish up as we normally do on Fridays with our weekly guest Willie Waffle, who's going to come in and talk with us about the weekend movie review. He said he's got some big news for me. He told me, he texted me earlier. So I got some big news. We're going to start off the thing with the big news. So I don't know what it is, but we'll find out. Knowing Willie, it'll probably be something silly. Anyway, it'll be crazy. Terry in the chat room just said, I can't imagine minus 65. You know, I tell this story quite often, but one of the deciding factors for me to leave Fairbanks was that on that final winter, right before I accepted the job offer that I took to get to go down to Anchorage and Wasilla, that final winter at my house there in North Pole, it was 57 below or colder for more than 3 weeks solid. So 57, 60, 62. I think the coldest it got down was to 64 for more than 3 weeks at my house. And that just about broke me. I'll be honest with you. That was just like, I can't do this anymore. I just can't do this anymore. I am not a masochist, you know? So good on all you folks up there who still stick it out in Fairbanks. And you know, I had some people that, you know, every time I go back to Fairbanks, I run into somebody who go, oh, you wussed out, huh? I'm still standing strong. I'm still here in Fairbanks and blah, blah. And I'm just like, hey, you know what? More power to you. You're right. I'm a wuss. I did my 45 years and the warden issued me a parole. That's all I got to say. I did my 45 years, did my time, and I decided this is madness. What am I doing? Right? Yeah, I mean, it was just, you know, when you get 3 weeks of, you know, of nothing but, you know, you're babysitting the furnace, and you got to go out and start your car an hour early after it's been plugged in all night just to get it warmed up, and even after that, the first 2 miles of you driving down the road is because your tires have got a flat spot in them because they were so cold. You know, at some point you're like, this is just not fun anymore. Now, I mean, hey, you do you, boo. Right? But you know, you do you. I just couldn't do that anymore. So Anthony just said, dude, you lived in an ancient burial ground or something. I remember the thermometer dropped like 12 degrees the second I turned into your driveway. We did live in a hole. I mean, it was consistently 8 to 10 degrees colder than North Pole proper every time you turned into our little neighborhood there. It was it was brutal. It was, you know, and I had lived there for 15 years. And I was just like, this is, you know, when Terry and I were sitting down there, and that was the year that I got the heating oil bill, because that year was just brutal. I got the heating oil bill, and for a single month, it cost me $1,433 for heating oil. And it was another $530 for electricity. And I just looked at Terry and I said, $2,000, and we haven't even paid the mortgage yet. How do we get, you know? Anyway, sorry, I don't know how we sidebarred on that, but it's just, you know, it's just one of those. I'm glad it gets a little windy down here. It gets a little wet and rainy down here, but by God, it's better than freezing all your bits off, right? Freezing all your bits off. It is insane. All right. Sorry. Firearms Friday. Where was I? Oh yeah, I was right here. Firearms Friday. We're ready to go, and ready to jump into it. As always with Firearms Friday, well, almost always, we are we're opening up the phone lines. And again, there's gun Q&A all day. 319-527-3864 is the number to call. If you'd like to call in and talk with us, we'd love to hear what you have to say. Feel free to jump in and be part of the conversation. I see Ron's on the phone already. Wow. Ron is jumped in. So I guess before I get to all my other doodads and everything else, let's go over to the phones and see what's happening, shall we? Good morning, Ron. What's on your mind, my friend? What's going on?
Good morning, Michael. I couldn't resist. I guess I'm a little bit of a slow learner because I've got 57 years in here.
Yeah, dude. You're a lifer. You're a lifer trying to get out, right? I mean, I got paroled at 45 years, and you're a lifer.
Well, I came up here in 1968 from the plains of South Texas, working on a contract that I had with my uncle. His name is Sam. And anyway, out at Alson, the bottom fell out the last day of December 68, and the average temperature on Alson for the first 26 days in January was 44 below.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. No, baby. I mean, I remember, growing up as a kid, I remember one time I was working in Moose Creek or something at a job, and I got done super late, and it was like 2:00 in the morning, and I was driving home, coming towards coming past Eielson, doing all, and I blew a radiator hose at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and it was was 47 below, and I'm underneath the truck. I had to call my mom and said, "There's a radiator hose over here. Would you please bring it to me?" She brought it down to me, and I replaced a radiator hose on the side of the highway at 3 o'clock in the morning at 50 something, 47 below. I mean, dude, it's just at some point you're just like, why? What? I mean, do I hate myself that much? I mean, the summers are great, but is it worth this kind of thing? Yeah, it's a lovely place. I miss the people in Fairbanks. I do not miss the environment in Fairbanks. That's for sure.
Well, I was doubly simple in that I drove up here in an air-cooled VW Beetle.
Boy, you really hated yourself. You really hated yourself at that point, because
yeah. All right, I'll cut you loose and see what others have to say.
All right.
Have a great day, Michael.
Thanks, Ron. Thanks for calling in. I know it's Firearms Friday, but you know what? It's the end of the year. I'm loose as a goose, and I just don't care. It's all good. Yeah, I mean, you drive an air-cooled V-dub up there. I mean, you're getting a coffee can full of sterno, and you're firing it up in your car just to stay warm. I had a buddy that had an air-cooled VW, and I'm like, what? Anyway, Ken's on the line. Let's go over to see what Ken. I know he's got a firearms question today. Good morning, Kenneth. How are you, my friend?
Not too bad. How are you doing?
It's Christmas. It's Friday. It's not 30 below where I'm at. I'm feeling pretty good.
Well, the reason I called today is I ran into a situation at a gun show here recently up here in Fairbanks. And the dealer I was talking to, I think was putting out some bad information, but I wasn't sure, and I thought I would mention it to you and see what you thought about it.
Okay, I'll give you my opinion. I'm here for it. What happened?
So there was a gentleman there from out of state wanting to buy a pistol, and but he had a Texas driver's license. And the advice that the dealer gave him was, well, you spend enough time up here, you should keep your Texas driver's license and just go get an Alaska state ID with a local address. He said, not a driver's license, because that would be illegal, but a state ID, and that would be okay. And he could purchase the firearm with a state ID. And it just didn't sound right to me.
Well, I don't know if that would be the advice that I would give someone. I mean, I think legally you can purchase a firearm if you have a state ID, but the assumption is that if you have a state ID, that you're a resident of the state. To keep your driver's license from another state and then to get an ID from this state, I think probably skates into a gray area that would probably be on its face, if you ever had to face it in a court of law, would probably be you're trying to pull one over on somebody, right? So I don't think that would be advice that I would give anybody. Now, if anybody was up here and was spending a chunk of time up here, and they're like, I'm only here for a while, but I am going back to Texas or Kentucky or wherever, just go to a private seller and buy it from a private seller, and then you can sell it when you leave, or you can take it with you or whatever. But yeah, that advice seems a little bit, I mean, obviously that guy doesn't play a lawyer on TV, because I just think that would be the definition of attempted fraud, I would think. Because again, to get a state ID, the assumption is that you're a resident. Whether you drive or not, you're a resident. And so yeah, I think that would be problematic, Ken, to be honest with you.
Okay, yeah, like I said, I overheard that and I thought, well, that just doesn't sound quite right to me, and so I thought I'd mention it.
Yeah, I mean, hey, your mileage may vary. If you want to pay your money and takes your chances, you could try that. But remember, all these states are tied together now in the back end, on computers and everything else. And so if you did that, I mean, maybe they'd issue a state ID, but maybe that invalidates your Texas driver's license. I have no idea. But again, to me, the assumption is you're a resident if you're trying to get an ID. And so that would be iffy for me. If somebody really wanted a firearm, you can find plenty of private sellers out there. If you're if you want to buy a firearm and you're from out of state, it's a don't ask, don't tell kind of thing. If you're just here for a few months and you want to just be able to protect yourself and you don't want to give up your residency somewhere else, then there you go. Otherwise, get a new driver's license, and then when you go back, get another new driver's license when you go back to Texas. That would just make sense to me. But yeah, again, everybody's an armchair lawyer, I guess, up until this point, including myself. But I would err on the side of caution with that, Ken.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Well, I won't take up any more of your time. I just thought that was something worth mentioning.
All right. Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, always take the advice you're given with the amount of money that you put into that advice. You know what I mean? So if it was unsolicited and for free at a local gun show, you may want to check just to be sure. Just to be sure. I'm just saying. All right, Ken, thank you so much. Merry Christmas to you guys. And again,
Merry Christmas to you.
My wife thinks you guys are the best because her dog is the best. I just want to say that right now. Her dog is the best ever. So
we do love them.
Yep. Thanks, Ken. I appreciate you coming on board. And for those of you who are asking the question, what are you talking about? Ken and his wife provided my wife and I with a little dog for my wife, little Maltipoo, and it was awesome. It was awesome. She's like the best dog. Well, not compared to Bosco or Ruger, but I mean, she's almost as good as them. Let's put it that way. All right. Man, we're up against the break already. Fastest 2 hours in radio. I didn't even get to the housekeeping stuff, man. It's just crazy. All right. That's fine. It's Friday. I mean, I don't care. I don't care. All right. We got to go. The Michael Dukes Show. Common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio. We'll be back with more right after these messages. Don't go anywhere.
If you missed the show, you can listen to it on your time with Dukes On Demand. Oh, and it's free. Like America used to be. Streaming live every weekday morning on Facebook Live and MichaelDukesShow.com.
Okay. Hi. How you guys doing? Let me turn back the clock here and go back and look at some of these other comments. You lived in a hole, all right. Yeah, I sure did. Paul says, I stopped and changed a tire for a lady with kids at 50 below. My hands hurt for 2 days. That was on the Richardson Highway in 03. Yeah, no, I mean, I actually I frostbit my hands. And I'm sure that didn't. I already had some problems. But I'm sure that story that I told you about changing the radiator hose at 45 or 50, whatever it was cold as hell. because of, you got water and coolant and everything else. And of course it's immediately freezing once it leaves the vehicle. I'm sure that contributed. My hands still hurt when it gets cold. Doesn't matter if I have gloves on or not. My hands just hurt. I don't do snow machining or anything anymore because it's just not pleasant. But yeah, I'm just glad, Chris says my house uses about 400 gallons all winter. Good for you. I had a 1,000-gallon fuel tank, and I would go through that entire 1,000 gallons in a winter. My house was built in 1974 or something, and we did better because we went in and I blew a whole bunch of insulation into the roof, and I did everything I could do to 5-star the house, right? Got a high efficiency Wiesmann boiler, did everything, and still it was just, it was just tough. It's just tough. Like I said, I saved $5,000 in the first 8 months I moved down to Wasilla. It was crazy. Rationalizing living where temperatures drop to 50 below is classic Stockholm syndrome, said David. I'm not disagreeing. Again, I still meet the people who are like, bro, you couldn't cut me out of here with a chainsaw. You wussy, you just go ahead, boy, just get out of here. I'm just going to stick here until the day I die. And I'm just like, great, man, great. You're a masochist. That's all I'm saying. You just love it. What's the holdover or hold under does one need at minus 65? I don't know. I actually got interviewed by Jim Bohannon, who was, national radio talk show. I actually got interviewed one time by him because it was 65 below, 64 below or something. It had made national news in some way. And so they had me on the show, and it was funny to talk with him about it because I was actually in my house when I do it. And I was just looking outside and the temperature is 63 below right now. And it's just like, what do you do? I'm like, yeah, right. We'll see. Anyway. Paul Whitman says, we don't need no stinking ID. Yeah, that's really the Second Amendment is my ID. That's my permit right there. David Nelson says, I think that residency should require you to live in Alaska for 6 months and a day, and that the clock should start on January the 1st. That would stop all the snowbirds from cashing in on the dividend checks. If you're a snowbird, you've contributed to the state. And if you want a snowbird back and forth, good for you. Yeah. Anthony said, I'd love to live somewhere warmer, but the closer to the surface of the moon temperatures I go, the more money I can make, job security and all that. It's true. Anthony, he's got himself a built-in clientele. He's never going to have to worry about work. Anthony works as a boiler tech, HVAC guy. So, yeah, no, good for you guys. Good for you. That's all I could say right there. All right. 60 below, do birds freeze? No, but they're not moving a lot. Let's just put it that way. You don't see a lot of activity when it's 60 below. We'll put it that way. If you've ever seen a cup of coffee just vaporize when you fling it into the air, a hot cup of coffee, that's educational. Just do that sometime. It's fascinating to watch. All right, here we go. Michael Duke Show, Common Sense Radio. Let's do it.
What the hell is an assault weapon? Does that mean that if we hurt your feelings, you should consider the Michael Dukes Show assault radio? Okay, we can accept that. Here's Michael Dukes. Kind of a dick, but somewhat funny.
Okay. We are ready to go. Should we get back into it? Man, we've been talking about just crazy. Everybody in the chat room's all on the 60 below train. Like, what? How does it work? No, man, it's a little bit of madness. That's what it is. It's a little bit of madness all the time. All right. Housekeeping. I know I've been doing this for the last 10 days, but I'm going to keep doing it because otherwise on the 22nd at 6:15 in the morning, I'll be getting calls and text messages on my cell phone. And then people would be like, you're not on the air. No, I'm not on the air. I, in fact, am not on the air. From December the 22nd through the 1st of the year, the show will be on hiatus, vacation. We're going to hang out. All right. So you're going to have alternate programming wherever you are, wherever you're listening. Now, if you do miss the show and you're like, I can't live without the show. First of all, seek some help. Second of all, you could always just listen to the podcast and go back and listen to podcasts. I've heard them all. Man, you're a trooper. If you've been listening to every podcast I put out, you're a trooper. But you could always do that. We'll be returning to the airwaves on January the 5th. Monday morning, January the 5th, will be our first broadcast day, and we'll be hot and heavy from then on. That's the first of the year. This is my annual pilgrimage to the couch. I mean, I never go on vacation. I just take time off, right? I mean, I never go anywhere. I sleep in, I do the honey-do list. I work on stuff. I do all the technical stuff that I'm afraid to do over a 2-day weekend for the show, replace computers and update audio equipment and do all that other kind of stuff because I have, 10, 15 days to do it. But then I just hang out. So it's good. It's going to be good. All right. So that's number one. Number two is next week, Rod Pyle's going to be joining us. Rod is he's an author. He's worked for JPL and NASA. He's been a consultant on the History Channel for their space shows and documentaries. He's just a great guy, all around great guy. And he is my space nerd. He is my personal space nerd. Love talking to him. He's going to be with us next Wednesday. That's going to be the only real show we're going to have that's anything close to, because Monday is going to be holiday stuff. It's going to be favorite movies, music, or favorite movies and shows and things like that, memories of that. It's going to be Tuesday's going to be Brad Keithley talking about the governor's budget, and then he's going to give us his favorite Christmas memories. Chris Story's coming on to do Christmas memories and positivity. Wednesday, we're going to do favorite Christmas music and stuff like that. Thursday, it's going to be open line with traditions and you guys sharing your holiday memories. And then on Friday, we're going to have a little bit of firearm stuff. Chris Chang's going to come in to talk about his Christmas stuff. And then we're going to finish up with Willie Waffle and his hit list of best Christmas movies ever. That's what's going on. All right. So that's the housekeeping. Oh, and if you're down on the peninsula on the 21st, which is a week from Sunday, you can join my family and I. We're sponsoring a showing of A Muppet Christmas Carol at the Porcupine Theater here in Homer. Please come down and join us. And if you want to get a pair of free tickets to that, you can go to KGTL's Facebook page and you can like or comment on the event. There's an event pinned to the top of the page there. So there you go. All right. Let's get back to it. Phone lines are open. 319-527-3864. Firearms topics are the topics du jour. And we're going to start off with our brothers to the east, Canada. All right. There's some interesting things brewing in Canada, right? These guys, especially way out on the East Coast and Ontario. I mean, those people, they have never seen a gun law that they didn't want to embrace. And in fact, have done so time and time and time again. But a strange thing has happened here recently. Almost half of the Canadian provinces have said, nah, fam, we're good. They're like, no more. They're like, because the government now they wanted to go even harder. They wanted to go even deeper. Justin Trudeau is up there just saying, oh, we need to eat. We're going to take them all. We're just going to do it. And so the idea was that They were going to go ahead and take away all assault weapons, and even for people who had permits and everything else. I mean, these people did everything that the government said that they should do. Right? They followed all the rules. They followed all the laws. They say, they're the good guys. They got the background checks. They paid the exorbitant fees to whoever. They did everything. And now the government said, you know what? We changed our mind. You don't need that. Only the government should have those kind of guns. And lo and behold, nearly half of the provinces in Canada said, nah, I think we're good. Yukon and Alberta specifically, Yukon, our neighbor to the east here, they formally stated that it will not participate in the mandatory firearms buyback program, placing the territory among a growing group of provincial and territorial governments resisting Ottawa's gun control policy. The announcement came during the recent speech from the throne delivered by Commissioner Angelique Bernard, which outlined the government's priorities for an upcoming legislative session. In the address, Bernard affirmed the government intends to support the rights of legal gun owners in the territory, signaling continued recognitions of vetted firearms ownership, hunting traditions, and cultural rights. Now, remember, there's no Second Amendment in Canada. So they don't have an enshrined right or ability to be able to fall back on. But here we go. 40% of the provinces are declining to take part in this. Again, we talk many times about the idea of an Irish democracy, right? For those of you who don't know what that means when the legislators, when the government, when the politicians write a law that is so dumb, so antithetical to what the public wants, that the public just starts ignoring the law and therefore undermines the power and authority of the government. Because if they start ignoring one law, well, it becomes pretty easy to ignore another and another and another. And that's how you end up with the troubles, right? It's interesting to watch. But it looks like, I'm a little bit of in case you haven't figured that out by listening to the show, I'm a little bit of an anti-authoritarian. And it's interesting to watch people push back on a government that is going more and more authoritarian, which is what Canada is doing. I mean, you saw the whole trucker thing and all the deals, and they went after those people for basically just protesting, and Trudeau has become a little Mussolini kind of thing. He's going to take care of it all. But a lot of these governments are just like, nah, I'm good. Thanks. The local governments. Could we have a sagebrush rebellion style thing going on in Canada? Maybe. Maybe. We'll have to see. I mean, but this is a fascinating thing to see our brothers and sisters across the border going like, no, I just don't think that we need that. And again, it's interesting because you've got people who are 3,000 miles away, telling people, out on the East Coast in the Canadian, in the civilization, telling people out on the West Coast in the territories and in the wilderness that they can't have things to protect themselves or do whatever, or, it's just the craziest thing. And of course, we're dealing with the same thing. We got people in Washington, D.C. that tells us if our shotgun is half an inch too short, or whatever, that we're going to jail. And we thought that maybe we had some backup on this, and that we'd chosen the right guy for president, and that he was going to be this, he was going to be the star. And now, of course, it turns out that that's not the case, that we may have been bamboozled a little bit. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. Because this is what I warned about. Now, I voted for Trump, but as I have said in the past, he's a guy that just tells people what they want to hear a lot of times. And I'm getting that feeling now that that's what's going on with our Second Amendment rights. And we're going to talk about that and what I mean by that before you guys all grab your pitchforks and torches. What I mean by that, we're going to talk about that here in the next segment, because our friend Derwin Nersessian over at Firearms News has got an update on the One Big Beautiful Bill lawsuit that's going on. And Darwin is not pulling any punches. In fact, I might see if I can have Darwin on next Friday as one of our guests for the final Firearms Friday of the year. I know I'm going to have Chris Chang on, so maybe we'll make it a full boat for Friday for the final show of the year. Maybe that'll be the barn burner. But he is not pulling any punches. He's kind of pissed, and I understand why. And we're gonna talk about that coming up in just a moment. That's right. We're already up to the next commercial break. We got more coming up. The Michael Duke Show. Common sense, liberty-based, free thinking radio. It is Firearms Friday. Hey, you want to argue with me? You want to tell me how wrong I am? How Trump is the best thing for the Second Amendment since sliced white bread? 319-527-3864. Let's have a conversation. I'm interested to get your take on this because I am a little frustrated by this whole thing. So we'll be back right after this. Don't go anywhere.
Running on 100% pure beard power. Oh, also some coffee. We dip our beard in coffee.
Ha, nice beard.
The Michael Duke Show.
Okay. Renee said, you think? I don't know what you're talking about there, Renee, but I'm interested to know. I do think. I don't know what you're talking about, but I do think. All right, going back up here. Brad, Christmas memories? Yeah, I know, right? He has such a hard time. He has such a hard time with he's like, oh, get him out. Yeah. 16 degrees, no wind, darn near tropical out there. Good morning. Talk to Alberta. They say no, their independence is going to a vote, said Rick. Yeah. Brian says, annex the Yukon. Well, yeah, no, it's kind of crazy. Frank says, what's wrong with being a snowbird? Nothing's wrong with still being a snowbird. I dig it. Do you, boo. Paul says the SKS is still legal in Canada only because it has a fixed mag. Yeah, I mean, SKS is a solid little rifle. I got to tell you. I picked up some of those back in the day when they were still reasonable. I was at a gun show and I was looking at a guy had some SKSs there, and I'm like I looked at him and I said, "You realize that I bought 6 SKSs for the price of this one, right?" And he's like, "Yeah, I know. That's just supply and demand, man. Supply and demand." Brian says the difference between a subject and a citizen. Yeah, no, I agree. Rick says Trump also says a lot of things certain people don't want to hear. Yeah, I mean, I agree. Look, I mean, did I want Kamala or no. But again, I never fully bought into the everything that he was selling because I know the kind of guy he is. He's a salesman. He walks into a room, tells you exactly what you want to hear. I mean, he's a salesman in the worst form of the stereotypical salesman, right? And he just tells you what he thinks you want to hear to close the deal. David said, Frank, there's nothing wrong with being a snowbird, but if you can afford to have 2 residences in 2 different states, you don't need a dividend check. One of the main reasons for the dividend check was to offset the cost of living in Alaska, especially in the winter. Wrong. Wrong, David. If you own stock in a dividend and you own two different houses, does that make you any less eligible for stock in a dividend that you own? If you invested in a company and you had a thing and you were an owner of a company, just because you have two houses or one houses or 10 houses, does that make you any less eligible for that dividend that your company would spin off as an owner? There's not a... No, David, you're wrong. It's not that what you can afford. There should be no means test for the dividend. The dividend is your share of ownership of the resource, regardless of what you have or what you own or anything else. You are an owner. I hate this kind of reasoning. What Renee was talking about was Trump. He's a lunatic. No, you can't trust him. Don't let him near your children. What? I never said that. I just think that he tells people what they want to hear as far as trying to close a deal on something. I don't know why you bring children into this. I mean, of all the presidents out there, Biden would be the one I'd be worried about with, let me smell your hair. I mean, right? Come on. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, Renee. I just think that's crazy. I don't have TDS. I'm just saying I never bought into the fact that he was 100% convert to the Second Amendment. And now we're seeing it. Yeah. I remember when you could buy an SKS at Long's drugstore for $125 and it came with a bayonet. I remember those days too. All right. Although I didn't have a Long's drugstore. That's the deal there. Okay. Well, we're 30 seconds out, 40 seconds out. Chris says, thank you, MD. The PFD doesn't discriminate. No, it doesn't. It's like saying you shouldn't get what's duly yours because somebody doesn't like the cut of your jib, or you make too much money, or you make too little money, or there should not be any kind of means test on any of that stuff. Yeah, 330 million people, said Brian, and we had those two choices. I've often said that the lesser of two evils things is so tough. It's like, would you like a diarrhea milkshake or a poo sandwich? Which one would you prefer? Can I have is there a third option? Because neither one of those sound good. No, thank you. No, thank you. But we had to choose, right? That was our choices. They're both crappy choices. Literally. Okay, here we go.
What the hell's an assault weapon? What isn't? If I assault you with a penguin, doesn't that make it an assault weapon? Does this mean that if we hurt your feelings, you'd consider the Michael Dukes Show assault radio? Okay, we can live with that. Here's Michael Dukes.
Okay, so the chat room is on fire today. Chat room's going crazy. So my buddy Darwin Narcessian over at Firearms News writes about the one big beautiful update. And, there's been a lot of questions about the president. He came out swinging. He put out his executive order on the Second Amendment task force, which said, we're going to get to work on this. I mean, it was kind of in some ways, it was a nothing burger, right? Because it outlined a lot of the things that we cared about. But at the same time, he put all the onus of this onto the Department of Justice. And then at that time, his nominee, Pam Bondi, who we all had questions on, because Pam Bondi, as the Attorney General of the state of Florida, had some, well, quite honestly, some anti-gun views. And he was going to make her the Attorney General of the United States in charge of the Department of Justice and task her with protecting our Second Amendment rights. Now, I'm not saying that this whole thing is completely dead now or anything else. I mean, he just now got the office of what the hell do they call it? It's in the Civil Rights, the new Second Amendment section within the Office of Civil Rights at the Department of Justice. Okay, great. And they're doing some things. They're doing some good things there. Okay, I mean that's good. It's a little bit of cleanup, but Trump had an opportunity here. Trump and the DOJ had a big opportunity when it came to supporting and showing their stalwart defense of the Second Amendment. And what I'm talking about right now is the case of the Silencer Shop Foundation versus the BATF&E, also known as the One Big Beautiful lawsuit. It's a legal challenge to the National Firearms Act, the NFA, and it began with the passage of H.R. 1, the One Big Beautiful bill. Now, we know that initially in the One Big Beautiful bill, that there was there was an amendment that was going to remove short-barreled rifles, silencers, and AOWs from the NFA, which is unconstitutional on its face. It's a taxation scheme, folks. It's not a regulatory scheme. It's a taxation scheme. Okay? That's how they passed it back in the day, because they knew Americans would never stand for having their rights just suspended. So instead, they taxed them, and they taxed them at such a level. Well, we'll get into that here in a second. So the efforts that we were hoping this was in there, and then Senate Majority Leader John Thune, and because J.D. Vance refused to sidestep the Senate parliamentarian who was the one that gutted this out, and they refused to stand up to the parliamentarian, those parts got stripped out of the One Big Beautiful bill. So then there was a legal challenge to the NFA. This is back early fall. It was submitted by the Silencer Shop Foundation, Gun Owners of America, B&T USA, Silencer Co., Palmetto State Armory, and the Firearms Regulatory Accountability Coalition. It started on the 4th of July, which is the same day that the president signed H.R. 1 into law. So what happened? So DOJ's response, because they filed this lawsuit now, and if the lawsuit is against Trump's DOJ, led by Pam Bondi, approved and, basically given the nod to by the president. Now, they could choose not to defend the lawsuit. They could say, you know what, we're right, we've overstepped, we're not going to defend the lawsuit, and we're going to reverse it. But they didn't do that. DOJ's response to the lawsuit unequivocally answers once and for all where this administration stands on the Second Amendment. This is from the filing. The government can choose to concede the matter and not contest the lawsuit, signaling sincerity in President Trump and Bondi's assurance that they believe the Second Amendment is not a second-class right. On the other hand, resistance to this lawsuit of any kind ends the debate abruptly, confirming that you could take a New York Democrat out of New York, but you can't make him a conservative president. This is from Darwin Necessian's article. And the response is in. After a short extension granted by the federal court, the DOJ submitted its response on November 20th in full-throated support of the NFA, asking the judge to deny the suit's motion for summary judgment and instead grant a government motion for summary judgment that would reject the case in its entirety. The DOJ even refers to NFA items as weapons of war, particularly susceptible to criminal use, which sounds like something that came out of the Obama or the Biden administrations. Now, Darwin goes to remind people, the Second Amendment, just a reminder, isn't about hunting or sports shooting, or even defense of the home. The core principle is about defense from unchecked power, specifically the tyranny and the tendency of the government to trend towards tyranny of government. The Second Amendment's no-nonsense language permits zero tolerance for infringement. Then the DOJ goes on in an argument, by the way, and argues that although revenue will no longer exist in the form of a $200 tax stamp because we were able to remove the taxes from this, the NFA remains a valid exercise of Congress's taxing power because businesses that import or manufacture or deal with NFA items continue to pay an SOT, a special occupational tax, to the government. What? This would be like repealing the federal income tax, but forcing you to continue to file a personal tax return simply because corporate taxes still exist. And that's the thing. The whole argument is built up on their power to tax, and now that they're removing the taxes from it, the government's like, nah, we still got the power. Now, remember, that $200 tax may not seem like much, but that tax was instituted in 1934. $200 in 1934 was like $5,000 to $8,000. I mean, a shotgun cost $5 in 1934. And the tax was $200. It was just a way for them to be able to, take away a right without saying that they're taking away a right. And now the other part of this argument was also, they doubled down on this. Apart from the taxing power, Congress has the authority to enact the challenge NFA requirements under the Commerce Clause. So now they're going to use the Commerce Clause, and they're going to say that anything, the necessary and proper clause authorizes Congress to make all laws which are necessary and proper to carry out the execution of the federal government's power. What is left? What is left? I mean, again, they could have just declined to, they could have, if he was the Second Amendment champion that he said he was. Now, there's another side to this. Some people say he's playing 4D chess. We're going to get into that here in a minute. But I don't think so. I really don't. The Michael Duke Show, Common Sense Radio, back with more after this. Okay. Was Ronald Reagan not a Democrat before he was a Republican? Yeah, Ronald Reagan also gave us the FOPA. So don't crow about how Reagan was the best president ever. I mean, I think he was great in many ways. But as far as firearms laws, nope. You know. That's the thing. All right, let me go back up here. Let's see. Anyone know how to get a hold of David Eastman? I don't know. He's got a website. Probably could email him through the website. They now have assault cows. Next week, Science Guy. Is that the one you talked about several months back? Yes, it is the one that I talked about several months back. It's taken me this long to get him back on the program. Bill says a true poo parade. DC at its finest. Yeah, I'm yeah, exactly. Good morning. Frank's like, oh, so Trump did not strip it out. It was your Congress. Trump is in charge of the Department of Justice, Frank. I don't know if you're just being contrary this morning because that, you just want to fight about it or what, but Trump he could tell Bondi, we shouldn't pursue that. We shouldn't stand up against that. But instead, they doubled down. They said not only is the unconstitutional NFA, not only is it needed, not only do we not need to charge a tax and still be able to hold it in there, we've got the whole the necessary and the clause. This is in his hands. That's, again. Oh, God. Let's go. Ronald Reagan was a great movie star after California. Yeah. George Washington says Bill was the best president and all went downhill after there. There's some good ones in there. There's some good ones in there for sure. But yeah, it has been a battle since to maintain our liberties and our freedoms since George Washington. It is what it is. So, all right. All right, we talked about that one. I got to close some windows here. I got 47 windows open right now. Do I care about that one? I don't know if I do care about that one. Don't care about that one. Not that one either. Okay. Just cleaned up. I just cleaned up some of the deals there. We're ready to go. And the phone lines are open, by the way. 319-527-3864. If you we'd love to hear what you have to say. Frank says, I wasn't cheering Ronald Reagan at all. Someone said you can't take a New York Democrat and make him a Republican president. No, they're just saying you can't take the New York out of the New York Democrat. That's part of the problem. Again, you got to understand who Trump is as a person. He's the guy that walks into the room and, what he really wants is a bicycle, right? I've used this analogy before. I'll use it again. What he really wants at the end of the day is a bicycle. And he walks into the room and he throws both doors open and says, I want a Harley Davidson, right? He's a maximalist. He comes in there and takes a maximalist position, knowing that at the end of the day, you're going to whittle him down to a bicycle, right? But that's where he wanted. That's what he wanted to begin with. He tells you what you want to hear. He plays into your expectations. He doesn't believe it. If he truly believed in the Second Amendment, he would never have said, we'll take the guns and worry about due process later. That's just not. He never would have done. If he truly believed, if he had an epiphany, and I know he's after he got shot and everything that he's stalwart, he's this, he's that, but if you really believe that, then all he'd have to do is say, Pam, don't defend this, don't prosecute it, let it go. It's been almost 100 years. The law is outdated and it's probably unconstitutional. Just let it go. Let it go. They could have done that. So that's where we're at right now. But some people are saying he's playing 4D chess. Don't worry about it. It's waiting in the wings. No, I don't believe it, but we'll see. Cam Edwards over at bearingarms.com has got a good piece on this, which we're going to follow along with here in a few minutes and get this thing squared away. Self-proclaimed most 2A friendly DOJ ever tells Supreme Court the NFA is constitutional. That tells you pretty much everything you need to know right there. All right, we got to go. Back with more.
Whoa, buddy. Put that thing back in its holster. We haven't gone anywhere.
I don't understand.
Check out the MichaelDukesShow.com for information on how to get access to the podcast.
Welcome to the party, pal.
The Michael Dukes Show.
I have 2 guns, one for each of you.
Firearms Friday.
As Thomas Jefferson stated, it is the right and duty of the people to be at all times armed.
Say hello to my little friend.
I say that the Second Amendment is, in order of importance, the First Amendment. The right to keep and bear arms is the one right that allows rights to exist at all.
The Michael Dukes Show. The right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Firearms
From my cold, dead hands.
Friday.
It's my rifle, this is my gun. This is for fighting, it's for fun.
Firearms Friday.
Firearms Friday, your chance to sound off on issues of a two-way nature right here on the Michael Dukes Show, broadcasting live across the state of Alaska on this, your favorite radio station and or FM translator, and live around the world on the internet at michaeldukeshow.com. So it's a good place to be. Welcome back to the program for this Friday. We are 1 week away from the final show of the year. We will be going on vacation starting next Friday. Next Friday will be the last show of the year, and then we'll be on vacation through the new year, and then we'll be back on January 5th. January 5th, we will be back, and we will be enjoying a little downtime. You'll be listening to alternate programming wherever you're at here, listening to the program. You can always listen to the podcast if you get lonely. I know some people are like, no, I can't do it, which again, get some help. If you can't live without my show, thank you, but get some help, because that's just, it's crazy. It's crazy. But there are podcasts available. You can go out and listen to all the podcasts that I put up and all the shorts on YouTube and everything else. Bunch of stuff. You could spend the whole time just going back into the back catalog and listening to some of the shows. Next week, it's going to be all, almost all fun stuff all the time. Monday, it's going to be favorite Christmas movies and shows. We're going to be talking about that. Tuesday, Brad Keithley's coming in to give us a breakdown on the governor's budget. Then he's going to do his favorite Christmas memories. Chris Story's going to do Christmas memories and then follow it up with some PMA. On Wednesday, we're going to have favorite Christmas music and things like that. And then we're going to be talking with Rod Pyle, who is from JPL and NASA. And he's going to come in and talk with us about the latest in the space race, what's going on in space. And maybe we will talk about 3i Atlas. I don't know. Somebody asked that earlier. I know we're going to talk about the race to the moon and what's going on with Mars and SpaceX and Blue Horizon and everything else. Blue Origin. Anyway, that's going to be on Wednesday. Then on Thursday, it's going to be Christmas traditions, and we're going to hang out and we'll talk about recipes and we'll take some phone calls. And then Friday, we're going to have Chris Chang on and Willie Waffle and maybe somebody else for the final Firearm Friday of the year. Okay, that's it. That's everything. Let's get back to it. We were talking before the break. I was taking Donald Trump to task, which, I know that some of you are already sharpening your pitchforks and lighting your torches and like, how dare you take on my president? What's the look? They keep saying that this DOJ, this president, the most two-way friendly DOJ ever, right? The most friendly, two-way friendly president ever. Debatable, right? Debatable. Pam Bondi, mixed track record. Okay, now they have the opportunity to not try and defend the NFA in the courts. And what did they do? No, not only did they defend the NFA, which in and of its face, I mean, I would argue is unconstitutional. And quite honestly, we haven't had a fight about the NFA since 1934, which if you go back and read the whole thing went down in US v. Miller, that was the case that decided that the NFA was good to go, was US v. Miller. Miller didn't even show up in court. There was no opposing side. Okay? So here was an opportunity. And instead, the government decides that no. They argue that this is lawful and legal. They referred to NFA items as weapons of war, particularly susceptible to criminal use, which sounds, again, a lot like the Biden administration or Kamala Harris. And then they went on to talk about how the taxing structure, which is the justification for the NFA, it's not a regulatory scheme. I want to highlight that, because they realized that a regulatory scheme on that level would have violated the Second Amendment. So what did they do? They made it a tax. But again, in 1934, when this was put in place, and it has not changed since 1934, it's $200 for a tax stamp, that a shotgun cost $5. And the tax was $200. Right? That's like buying a $500 shotgun and having to pay $20,000 in tax on a $500 shotgun. That's where we're at right now. They use it as a way to do it. But now they're saying, even though the tax was being removed because they're rolling back that was part of the deal, they still have the power to do it. But here's the scary part. Buttressing Congress's power to tax and regulate interstate commerce, the necessary and proper clause authorizes Congress to make all laws which shall be necessary and proper for carrying into execution the federal government's powers. The constitutional provision grants Congress broad authority to enact federal legislation. This was the DOJ's response in this lawsuit, basically saying we can do anything that we deem necessary and proper for carrying the execution of the federal powers. I mean, guys, this is the Trump White House, the Trump DOJ, the most pro Second Amendment. Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't want to get too back into that. Then there's another side to this coin. There are those that are saying, oh, no, the president and the DOJ, they're playing some fifth dimensional chess here in defending this. What they're going to do is they're going to pull a Windsor. Now, what is Windsor? What are you talking? What is a Windsor? Mark Smith over at the Four Boxes Diner has got a theory about this. And it's a YouTube channel, by the way. He points to the Windsor case, in which the Supreme Court threw out Section 3 of the Defense of Marriage Act. As Smith notes, the Obama administration originally defended DOMA before shifting its position and declining to do so. Smith theorizes that the Trump DOJ may be pulling a Windsor, which he defines as defending a law in the lower courts to keep the controversy alive until it gets to the Supreme Court. He again specifically points to the Silencer Shop versus ATF lawsuit, and that where the DOJ is defending the tax and registration requirements of the NFA, despite acknowledging that at least one of those items are protected by the Second Amendment, the suppressors. The theory is that when that case eventually reaches the Supreme Court, the DOJ would shift its position and decline to defend the NFA before the High Court. Now, I think that that's unlikely. I really do, for a couple different reasons. First of all, Obama didn't actually wait until the Supreme Court granted cert on Windsor before they shifted their position on their case. It was long before that. But that's not the only reason. There are multiple challenges to the NFA out there. You got Silencer Shop, you got the Peterson case. There's also 2 NFA cases in the Supreme Court's considering Rush versus U.S. and Robinson versus U.S., which both challenged the constitutionality of NFA restrictions on short-barreled rifles. So there's a ton of different things out there. But as the DOJ is still vocally defending and urging the court not to hear the cases. Why? The most pro-gun, 2A friendly DOJ ever. And they told the Supreme Court that the NFA is constitutional. This is the frustrating part, folks. This is the frustrating part. Now, again, I voted for him. I didn't vote for Kamala. Still better than the thing. But don't buy into this. He's the best thing since sliced white bread when it comes to the Second Amendment. I guess what we should say is don't be surprised. All right. Let's go back to the phone. I think that Fred's on the line. I recognize the number. We'll see what Fred has to say. Good morning, Fred. Oops, let me push the actual button. Good morning, Fred. How are you, my friend? What's happening? Fred, are you there? I can see you talking, but I can't hear you. I don't know what's going on. It was working a minute ago, and now there we go. Fred, I'm going to put you back on hold, and you could try and call back, or let me try and bring him back one more time, just because we can. Fred, are you with me over there? I could see the thing for you talking, but I can't hear you, Fred. Try and call back. Try and call back, Fred. I'm going to hang up on you. Try and call back. I'm hanging up on you, Fred. I can't take it anymore. Let me go over here and see if. Nope. That's part of my problem, isn't it? All right. So we're going to take a phone call here in just a moment. Let's do that. Let me log on here, and we'll get the phones back up and working. And then you can give us a call too if you want. 319-527-3864. 319-527-3864. Thanks so much. If you would like to be part of the program, feel free to ring us up and talk about what you want to talk about today. We got Willie Waffle coming up here in just a few moments. He's going to be joining us and talking about movies and entertainment and the streams and all that kind of stuff. That's the best way for us to finish out our weekend as well.
All participants are muted.
Look at that. The phones are actually working again. Sorry, Fred. Feel free to call back, man. It was apparently a problem on my end, and we'll make it work. I see Fred is joining us right now, so let's jump back over to it and get Fred back on the line. Try this one more time. Hello, Fred. How are you, my friend? What's going on? Fred? I'm just going to take a commercial break. That's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to go to break. And we're going to come back.
All participants are unmuted.
There we go.
All participants are muted.
We're just going to go to break, and we're going to be back. That's what we're going to do. I just can't take it on a Friday. Just can't take it. We'll be back. The Michael Duke Show. Common sense, liberty-based, free thinking radio.
We're broadcasting live through a series of tubes.
Allowing all of these entities to provide streaming stuff going on the internet.
Well, it's kind of hard to explain. Sorry. Streaming live every weekday morning on Facebook Live and MichaelDukesShow.com.
Okay, let me try this again. Can you hear me, Fred?
Michael, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Are you all good? I don't know what's going on. First it was my phone, then it was your phone, then we're back, and it's all good. So, all right, Fred, hold the line. I'm going to be back to you here. We're going to take you on the air in just a moment. Hold the line for a minute. He's already been on hold for like 8 minutes before I kicked him off the air, so it is what it is. When the going gets tough, the tough go to commercial. Oh, you've worked in radio too, huh? All right, let me go back over here. I'm scrolling backwards. Thanks for the website info, blah, 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 blah. Our economy is in dire straits since Trump's been in office. Inflation at all-time high. People can't afford housing, groceries, and bill, and all the things. I mean, there's a lot of problems going on. And then Renee says, Chris says, and about to pay double for health care, if not more. No. You know what? That's what I thought, because I'm on the marketplace, and I thought, well, this is going to hurt. What are we going to do? Turns out that some of those subsidies, that it's not all subsidies, or it's not even my health insurance. No, get yourself an insurance broker. Somebody like Laura Edson at Alaska Employee Benefits and Fairbanks. She has taken care of my health care since Obamacare went in. And the first time we were going to get health care, my health care went from $700 under my previous employers. When Obamacare went in, it was going to be $2,700 a month. And she was able to get me down into the $700-800 range again. And then ever since then, my health insurance has actually gone down. And so you need an insurance broker who knows how to work the system, who knows how it works, who's got, knows where all the bodies are buried, and has got all the secret phone numbers and everything else. Yeah. Anyway, get yourself a health insurance broker. It's free. Doesn't cost you anything. Again, call her. She does amazing work. Not all people think. Fred on mute when the goings get tough. Blah, 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 blah. It's snowing so hard I open the front door and start my vehicle. That's pretty hard. We can't hear either one of you now. No, I got audio there. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? This thing on? Just checking. Give me a thumbs up if this thing's on. Oh, man. I'm ready for my vacation. I don't know if you guys are aware of that. If you guys, every year about this time, I start to go just a little stir crazy on the show. I just get sloppy, and I'm just like, yeah, it's crazy. Her name is Laura Edson, Edson, Alaska Employee Benefits in Fairbanks. That's who you talk to. Call her up. Tell her I sent you. She will be so mad at me because she's so super busy right now. It's the end of the year, and she's like, oh, you call her, and she will get... You tell her I said that she had to take you as a new client. Okay? You tell her I said she had to. She's going to be so mad at me. I've been telling everybody about her for years because, I have not logged into my healthcare marketplace plan in 10 years. She does it all. I have a problem with a health insurance company, had a problem with something not being right or something going on. You know what I do? I call her. She calls Blue Cross and says, yo, straighten up and fly right. She got all the secret numbers. She knows where the bodies are buried. She talks to the head cheese, not some, nose picker at the lowest level. She's going to be so mad at me. Okay. Here we go. The Michael Duke Show. Fred's on the line. Let's do this thing.
What the hell's an assault weapon?
if we could just figure out how to get all of the murder guns and the attack guns and not keep selling those to people and just sell protection guns, I think that would be great and solve a lot of problems.
Does this mean that if we hurt your feelings, you'd consider the Michael Dukes Show assault radio? Okay, we can live with that. Here's Michael Dukes.
Okay, we are continuing on. Fred is on the line. I got the phone I don't know why. It's Friday. We're going to make it work. Fred is here all the way out from Rhode Island. Brother Fred, Merry Christmas, my friend. What's on your mind?
Merry Christmas, Michael. This whole thing with Trump and the Second Amendment preservation that he proclaims, you got to remember, Washington swamp is still alive. It's not going away. It's not even probably reduced all that much since he's taken office again. But because of that, you have to look at the fact that the sweetheart deals that were going on with the Biden administration, a lot of it is probably still alive in the Trump administration. As far as like taxpayer money disappearing through AIDS, AID, USAID, a bunch of other crazy organizations, and the non-government NGOs and all this nonsense. A lot of money's disappearing, and working its way through the swamp and winding up in more than likely gun control hands. Like the moms and this one and that one, and every town for gun safety. A lot of craziness is still going on as far as like back alley payments at midnight. I believe that's going on. I believe that's what's interfering with Trump's attempt to protect the Second Amendment and Bondi's questionable gun control advocates. Is promoting and kind of stalwarting what Trump is trying to do.
Fred, I think that before you
gotta get
wait
Elon Musk and his Doge team back on the ball.
Wait, Fred.
Start tracking where this money's going.
Okay.
Who's paying off who and why? That's the motivation.
Right.
This whole assault weapons thing, weapon of war. It's all that dog whistle time is what that is. That's correct.
Well,
absolute garbage.
Okay, I would say this, Fred. Hold on a second here. Just give me a chance to breathe for a second. I would say this. I think that argument holds merit at the first part of the year when President Trump just came in, Bondi just came in. I'm sure there is, and there's still some bureaucracy there in the ATF that are Biden loyalists or anti-gun loyalists or things like that. But this is one of the highest profile cases in the country when it comes to the NFA and Second Amendment rights. Bondi is got to have her hands all over this. And she could tell people, it's a high enough profile case that she could say, you will toe the line of this administration and what this department is going to do, or else. So while that argument holds water in the beginning of the year, I think by now, and especially after they proclaim themselves, they themselves said they're the most two-way DOJ in history, that just doesn't hold water anymore. You can't pass the buck on that at this point. This is not some little podunk case, that some underling somewhere is taking it. This is one of the highest profile cases in the DOJ right now when it comes to gun rights, Fred.
You're absolutely right. But like you say, follow the money, because that's the filthy lucre is the great motivator of all times, and I think it's pushing it along. And by people who nefariously have always been on that side of gun control and will always be on that side of gun control.
Well, I would agree with that. I think that there is a bunch of people in there still. I think the DOJ is still, the ATF itself as well, but the DOJ has definitely got some problematic people in there. And I knew it was always going to be an uphill battle. Look, I'm not saying that I think the president has done a bad job on everything, but again, I have never been fully convinced that he is some stalwart convert to the Second Amendment. Again, I thought it was convenient for him to say, rah, rah, hype, hype, look at who I am, cheer for me, I'm your gun guy, I'm going to do it. Because that's what we saw in the first term. He was that way in the beginning. And then he came out and said, we'll take the guns and worry about due process later. It's always concerned me. And I know people get tired because I keep bringing that up, but that is the peek behind the curtain that I'm talking about. He could talk a good game. He could tell you what you wants to hear, but when the rubber meets the road, when you can talk the talk, but when you got to walk the walk, and if you don't do it and you stumble, that's where things get concerning, and that's why I'm concerned right now, Fred.
Well, you're absolutely right. I think the only solution to this is going to be when this hits the Supreme Court level, and it goes under full review, all of it, the assault weapons ban, the magazines, all these restrictions, the NFA itself. Supreme Court has got to make the final decision as to what is what with this, and then we just move along after that, because this is just getting snowballed every which way from Sunday. And the money, I swear to God, the money is the motivator behind this. There's so much money that's going out the window and nobody knows where. But you know where it turns up. It definitely turns up in the hands of those clowns who want to take away your rights. Not only your gun rights. That's just the introduction.
Yeah.
Everything else as well.
Well, it's money and power, right? I mean, it's money and power. That's what's making that's what makes the swamp and the whole world go round now, is money and power. And, taking the guns away is just one more way to retain that power, because a disarmed society can't push back, baby. That's the ultimate dream for a lot of these elitists is, if we could just disarm them, then we could tell them they do what we want because we know better than them, right? That's the whole point here.
Well, you're absolutely right. But like I say, we got to get some kind of clear ruling on this once and for all, because if we don't do this, it's just going to snowball and continue doing exactly what it's doing, maybe even get worse. The best thing that can happen right now is the Doge gets back online and start tracking the money, start peeling the levels off the onion, and to get to the core, where you're going to find the answers to all this nonsense that's going on behind the scenes.
Well,
and they can't bury it deep enough.
It's all
they really can't.
It's all dependency, Fred. I mean, we talk about how in Alaska we've created a dependency state. In many ways, the United States is a dependency nation. You talk about the fraud, and we were just talking about healthcare during the commercial break. We were talking about healthcare, and you know what my broker told me? We were just talking about this. You know what they've uncovered since Obamacare, and especially since COVID? You know what they've uncovered? The massive amount of fraud in the healthcare industry. She said that they did their own testing to see, they put through false applications into the healthcare system to try and get subsidized healthcare and to get the subsidies. They found that 8 of 10 that they intentionally submitted, 8 out of 10 false claims were approved. 8 out of 10. Just think about that. 80% of the attempted fraud is successful. We're talking about billions of dollars. And there's people who are just making money hand over fist on this stuff. We've become a dependency. We're dependent on the Leviathan and the swamp in so many ways. It's crazy.
Well, there it is. I think that just answers the question right there. Follow money.
Yep.
Once you do that, you get the real story.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy. Fred, before I let you go, how are things in Rhode Island? Are you guys I know you're coming up on the first of the year, and you guys have got some big things that are going in, some new laws that are going into effect. Any changes there that we need to know about?
No, apparently everything, they claim that nothing can happen until the law goes into effect. The assault weapons ban on July 1, 2026. That's when this assault weapons ban goes, that law goes into effect. And they claim that everything's on hold till day one of that, which is, I think, it's a lot of garbage. It's a lot of soul watering is all that is.
Well, you know what?
But that's what they claim. Everything's on hold till then. So we shall see.
Yeah.
Meantime being, the lawsuits are piling in. Every other day they're filing another lawsuit to try to track this guy. They got all kinds of political things coming up before the midterms show up to throw out a lot of these elitist progressive clowns that try to push this thing through and get them out of the house once and for all.
Well, that would be
So
great.
that's, we shall see.
Well,
a lot of people are very angry about it, including myself.
Let me.
And they're not going to get it. This is something that they can't sweep this one under the rug on.
Right.
Midterms.
Well,
they
good.
hung themselves with their own rope, as far as I'm concerned.
Maybe this will be the big push that you guys needed to be able to clean house there, and I hope it. But let me give you one final exhortation here before we go, Fred. I hope that you take a little time around the holidays and you just spend some quiet reflection. You enjoy it with family and friends, and that you have a very, very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, my friend.
Well, same to you, Michael. Certainly appreciate it. Merry Christmas, and taking them good time to spend with family, and get back down to earth.
You bet. It's good to talk with you, Fred. Thank you so much for coming on board. All right, I know I made some of you mad with all this talk, but I mean, I just get so frustrated with this whole thing. I wish that I had a better. I wish I had a better, news on this. But I mean, still better than the alternative, yes. But golly, I really would have wished he just would have stepped up and said, unconstitutional, we're not defending it. That's the thing. All right, we got to go. We're up against the break. The Michael Duke Show, common sense, liberty-based, free thinking radio.
Streaming live every weekday morning on Facebook Live and MichaelDukesShow.com.
Okay. Yeah. Elon and Trump broke up from what I saw, says Lisa. Yeah, I mean, I think Elon just realized how hard it was to drain the swamp. I mean, they went in there and they found so much stuff. But it was nearly impossible. And the thing is that they knew it was only going to be, it was 90 or 120 days. That's how much the executive authority, that's how long that he could keep the Doge thing going. And then when it ran out of statutory or whatever authority, then it kind of fell. But I mean, that's the problem, man. That's, the swamp doesn't want to be drained. The piglets don't want to be weaned off the teat. They're there. They're getting their gravy. They're going to fight it every step of the way. And now, telling us what we want to hear and then not defending it, not really stepping up when he could have. This would have been an easy win for him. I mean, an easy win, not in the courts, but I mean, an easy win with the electorate. But he just, anyway, it's a thing, Okay. Dependency, Alaska. Just see what happens when the government shuts down. All you're depending on U.S. Congress. Start preparing for the January shutdown. I mean, that's the thing. When a government shutdown causes the entire country to go dark or panic or what, there's a problem. That is not the government that the founders intended. The government was supposed to be there for national defense, and to be a bridge between the states. It was not meant to be the lifeblood, the sustaining lifeblood of the country. And that's where we're at. Yeah. Frank says, he also says, I wish the same thing about the Second Amendment. Every time a Republican president is in charge with control of both houses, still hasn't happened. Yeah, exactly. Every Republican president, I mean, including Reagan, folks. I know that, again, that's going to make a lot of you mad. Reagan is a saint. I mean, we should just, Saint Ronald. Reagan was a politician, and Reagan didn't care about guns. Reagan allowed the Firearms Owner Protection Act, which sounds great on its surface, but basically outlawed all Class 3 items and did a bunch of other stuff. I mean, he's, George W. Bush. Remember when they let the assault weapons ban expire? But George W. Bush, W. Bush, he said, if you get it to my office, I'll sign it. Luckily they couldn't get it through Congress to get it to his office. That's the problem. But yeah, again, Republicans are part of the problem. It's why I'm not a Republican, quite honestly. And you could paint that however you want, whether it's at the federal level or at the state level. This is one of the reasons why I'm not a Republican, because they are part of the problem. Brian says, Doge was shock and awe that was unsustainable. Trump was using it to try and gain momentum. I agree. I agree. That was a big part of it. And it was not sustainable because they knew it in the long run. It only had a set amount of time that it could run. But man, the fervor and what they uncovered was amazing. If you ever go back and look at what they uncovered, it is amazing. Now, how much was actually cut or changed? Not much. Boy, it did unearth some stuff, though, didn't it? It did unearth some stuff. Here's I don't want to leave you on a down note before we get into I guess we'll get uplifted with Willie and everything, but I firmly come to believe over the last 5-8 years that we can fight all we want, and I'm going to keep fighting till the bitter end. But I think the wheels have got to come off the bus before things are going to change. I just don't. I think we've got to hit that rock bottom point, and that's at a national level and at a state level. I just don't see them wanting to change anything until they are forced by circumstances to change. I mean, during the shutdown, we increased the debt by $1 trillion during the shutdown. $1 trillion. We're at 38 something trillion dollars now. What? Right? I mean, come on. It's not sustainable. It's not sustainable. Frank says, I haven't been a Republican since I knew Joe Vogler. He was quite a character. And he basically confirmed my every suspicion about everything that was going on. I was not a Republican either. I've never been a Republican, but he definitely made me think a lot more about it. All right, my friends, let's get to it. Here we go. Phone's ringing. Time to do it. Okay, we're ready to go. Willie Waffle, wafflemovies.com. I did it. Sorry. It's Willie with the movies and the stuff. Hey, bud, how you doing? What's going on? I hear you got a good story for me this year.
This is a story that is going to change your life. This is, dare I say, a true Christmas miracle.
Okay. All right. Now
let me compose myself. Let me get myself together here.
Get your story straight. Get it all straight.
This is going to change your life. This is going to make your life happier and greater than it ever has been any minute before you hear the next piece of news.
Okay.
This week, it was announced that Zero Sugar Oreos are going to be available in America, people. It's happening.
That's life-changing.
It's happening. They're bringing them out in January. Not only will there be Zero Sugar Oreos, there will be, oh God, Zero Sugar double stuff Oreos.
Oh man. Okay. I've never had them. Is this a thing? I mean, is this a deal?
It's a thing. They've had them in Europe for a while. They've had them in Asia for a while. And let me tell you what this means. God, there's like a tear coming to my eye. I loved Oreos pre-diabetes. Let me tell you.
That was your thing.
Now that that's probably what caused half of it. I'm not going to lie. But now I shall enjoy and indulge in the greatest cookies ever made. I will once again be tasting the stuff in between the chocolate cookies. I'll do it during football games. I'll do it during movies. I'll just do it on a Sunday afternoon because I can now.
Oh, wow.
Yes, this is great. January,
Life changing.
Start the countdown.
Life changing.
Life changing.
Willie is like, this is it. This is the best Christmas gift he's ever gotten right there. That was the best Christmas gift I've ever received. Was right there. All right. Well, good. I mean, fantastic, man. I mean, we get Oreos occasionally around the house here, but it's not my normal thing. So, but I mean, some people love them. I mean, love them. So that's a good deal. All right. Well, congratulations, my friend. You have something to
Thank you.
New Year's resolution to live for is to
I have a reason to live now.
eat as many zero sugar Oreos as you want in the coming year. Let me tell you who else got a Christmas miracle. Jimmy Kimmel got a Christmas miracle.
Jimmy did.
What the
yes,
what the
he
what?
Did.
I can't believe this. This is crazy. Tell me about it.
Jimmy Kimmel has been picked up for one more year on ABC. This, to me, the most shocking news of the week. Next week, zero sugar. Yes,
right,
but
right.
This is wild. So as you know, Jimmy's contract is up in 2026, and after all the controversy and all the basic war that broke out between many of the affiliates and ABC and the president and the FCC coming after Kimmel and ABC, plus just the fact that that late night shows are just they're dead. They're a relic of TV past.
Right.
Stephen Colbert is gone in May of 2026. The late night show that comes on after him is gone. There's a lot of questions about how long Fallon and Seth Meyers are going to make it. And then Jimmy Kimmel, who was like third in the ratings behind Colbert and Fallon, it almost seemed like a fait accompli.
Right.
But no. They decided they're giving him another year. He will be on the air until 2027. And the part that I don't believe, allegedly, they made the deal before all the controversy broke out. And I'm sorry. I'm calling baloney on that. Because if that really had happened, they would have made that announcement back in August or whenever they actually made the deal.
Right.
Because now, listen. If they had just said we're going to drop it because it's just not worth it anymore, I don't think anybody would give them all that hard of a time, except for the hardcore liberals who are just like, they're claiming that this is somehow the government is destroying Jimmy Kimmel. But to hold off on the announcement and then drop it this week.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, that's it. Well, good for him. I guess it's good money. He's been doing it for almost 25 years, right? I mean,
that snuck up on me.
Yeah.
I didn't realize. Yeah, it's been since 2003. I mean, he's literally the longest host right now, or at least current host right now. He's been there longer than Fallon. He's been there longer than Colbert. It's quite shocking and amazing.
Yeah, and
good for him.
And he's still unfunny to me. But I mean, it's just me. So it is what it is. It's good. All right, let's move over to some of the other stuff. What else we got?
How about, I know you love The Boys.
Oh, yeah. The Boys.
And we're getting the last season, I think, in April on Prime Video. And they made another announcement. You will be able to play The Boys video game.
Not just a video game, but a virtual reality video game, right? I mean, you are in the game.
You are in the game. This actually, okay, I gotta say, this sounds really cool. So it's gonna be called The Boys Trigger Warning, and you become one of the soups, okay? And you have a whole backstory that there was a horrible tragedy at your family was attacked at some family function, and now you want revenge, and you're joining up with the soups to get it. And this just sounds like it is going to be the bloodiest, most wild video game that has ever happened in the history of video games.
Well, I did see I saw the tweet, the X post from Eric Kripke, who's he's the showrunner, and he basically said the final season is coming, and he said, "You're not ready." And that was I was like, okay, all right, I got to get caught up on The Boys because I'm not caught up on this last season yet, so I got to get to it. But yeah, that's going to be good in April. All right, another good show is also up, Landman. It got the green light because man, it's pulling some numbers.
Yeah, Landman, which is one of my favorite shows. I mean, I'm going to admit that right now. I think it's hilarious. I think it's very dramatic. I think Billy Bob Thornton, this is like the character he's been waiting to play his entire life. It's like this character and Bad Santa are the perfect Billy Bob Thornton characters. And so, yeah, Landman, which was moderately successful on Paramount Plus in season 1. In season 2 has exploded. Now they have gotten the green light. Like you said, there is going to be a season 3. And there's going to be a season 3 because, well, the demand is out there, my friends. The premiere of season 2, which just happened a few weeks ago, pulled in 9.2 million viewers in its first 2 days. Not too shabby. But what makes it even more amazing, and I wrote it down because I wanted to get it right, that is an increase of 262% over the series premiere last year.
There might be
like the Landman.
There might be a following of this show. There might be a following.
a little bit.
It's crazy. Well, good news. That's good news for us who are a Landman fan. Speaking of Kimmel being there for 25 years and letting it sneak up on you, did you realize that Elf is 20-something years old, 24 years old? I mean,
yeah,
I didn't realize
24 years old.
Yeah, but there's some big news there. They're finally going to make some more money on it. What's the deal here?
This is really wild. So, I love seeing all these auctions of Hollywood memorabilia. Like, I follow them. Once in a while, I'll see if there's something maybe I want to bid that I can get really cheap, and I never do because people will outbid me by 10 times what I'm willing to pay. And, there was an auction just last Friday where they auctioned off Will Ferrell's Elf costume. Yes. Now there were multiples. He had to wear different ones during the movie because let's face it, they get torn, they get ripped, they get stayed, whatever happens. And someone plunked down $319,000 to own this thing.
Wow.
Holy smokes.
300.
Holy smokes.
That is insane. And this is the one where he basically was in the elevator pushing all the buttons to make it look like a Christmas tree, right? That's where this one came from.
Yeah. And we know that because it was given or put up for auction by one of the producers of the movie. So he kind of was there. He knows.
He had the provenance.
He says, trust me. This was really in the movie.
This is really
there were other things that went during this auction.
Right.
This is actually kind of cool. So they had a fedora that was worn by Harrison Ford in Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. That went for $437,000.
Oh.
And to top them all, Boba Fett's carbine blaster from The Empire Strikes Back. Some just undeserving billionaire bought that for $613,000
for a prop. Oh man.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they're not making any more of them, so I guess that's the good one. All right. Well, that's the fun stuff. Let's move over. We got 5 minutes and we got 3 movies or streams to take a look at. Break it to me here, baby. Give it to me in your words. What do we got?
Yeah, this is not a great week. I'm going to tell you right now.
No.
It starts with Amazon Prime. Yes, they brought us the movie Merv. Now, on the surface, you could tell this is just going to be one of the silliest attempts at a holiday rom-com you can ever imagine, because Charlie Cox, remember Charlie Cox?
Daredevil? Daredevil, Charlie Cox? Yeah. Okay.
And Zooey Deschanel break up, and this causes their dog, Merv, to become depressed at Christmas time. And now the two of them are trying to find a way to make Merv happy. And I'm telling you right now, Merv the dog is the best damn actor in the movie. Okay, he's like the only reason to see, because you know what? It's just everybody's lost here. Like Charlie Cox is lost. He's trying to be this sad sack, lonely guy. He just comes off as dull and uninteresting. He gets much better as the movie gets dramatic. You got Zooey Deschanel basically doing the typical Zooey Deschanel thing, right? The quirky pixie that, frankly, she should have given up that role 10 years ago.
Right.
Oh, and then and they're going to have to find some crazy, kooky way to fall in love again. I'm at One Waffle. It is just not worth it, people.
Not. Watch something else is what you're saying. All right, so that's number 1 is One Waffle. It's not looking good for this week. What's next?
That would be Ella McKay,
okay,
which is out in theaters this week. And this is from James L. Brooks. He used to do great movies and great comedies. Broadcast News, The Simpsons, Mary Tyler Moore.
Right.
The man's a legend. And now he makes really, really bad movies in return for making another Simpsons movie. That's kind of the rumor here.
Oh.
And so, it's 34-year-old Ella McKay. She's juggling her crazy family, and wouldn't you know it, she's also become the governor of her state. Well, isn't that wacky? No, it is not.
Oh.
Okay, it is so overly contrived and forced and just not funny. Every single supposed scandal they give her that's supposed to be kind of quirky, nope, just stupid. Doesn't work. Every character in the movie is just kind of ridiculous. Ella McKay, you don't believe she could ever rise to be the governor of any state, whether she was 104 or 34. I'm at half a waffle.
Oh,
it ain't working.
It ain't working. I just was Googling it because I hadn't even heard of it. And the Rotten Tomato score, 22%. Oh, my.
There's a good reason.
Man.
I'm surprised it's at 22.
Yeah.
I think that 22 is a pity 22.
That might be a pity because that's from the critics. That's the pity 22 from the critics. It's at 20 from the list from the viewers. So it's the popcorn meter's like, oh man. All right. That leaves us with one movie which I have some hopes for, but you're about to dash him. I've got a feeling you're going to dash him for me.
Nope.
Wake Up
This
Dead
is your
Man.
savior.
This is it.
This is your savior. This is the one. Wake Up Dead Man, a Knives Out mystery. It's Knives Out 3. Let's just be honest.
I love it.
And in this one, it's a small little upstate New York town. There's a parish where the Monsignor, played by Josh Brolin, who's absolutely fabulous, is like one of these firebrand, old-fashioned, strict preaching, hellfire and brimstone and damnation. And he's got a new priest who got put there because he kind of had a little bit of a physical run-in at his last one, and he's kind of trying to make up for it. And the Monsignor dies during Good Friday Mass. And of course, who's called in to solve the case? Yes, Mr. Benoit Blanc.
Benoit Blanc.
That's right, played by Daniel Craig. Yep. And listen, I think that they don't get all the characters to be as awesome as they could be, but it's still pretty solid. You got Kerry Washington, Jeremy Renner, Glenn Close. You got tons of twists and turns, lots of suspects. Sometimes I think the plot twist is a little overly convenient. Sometimes I think they kind of try to make it more complicated to be complicated and keep us on the edge of our toes, trying to figure out who the murderer is.
Right.
But it pays off. It pays. Daniel Craig is fabulous. I think it's got the right mix of humor and seriousness. I'm at 3.5 waffles. I think the Knives Out series movies are really good.
All of the Knives Out. I mean, the first one, of course, was kind of groundbreaking. The second one was so off the wall, it was just crazy. And I just Ryan Johnson, that guy can make a movie. And I really love his ensemble cast. And of course, Daniel Craig is just amazing as Benoit Blanc. I think it's I can't wait. It's on Netflix. It's out right now. Right?
It's on Netflix right now.
You
got something to do tonight.
I got something to do this weekend. That's right. We're going to watch some Knives Out.
Pick up a pizza, get some popcorn, and enjoy a nice little murder mystery.
I'm all about it. Willie Waffle, movie critic extraordinaire. All right, my friend. Thank you. Next week, Christmas movies. We're going to be doing it, you and me. We'll see you then, okay?
Yeah.
All right,
It'll
folks.
be awesome.
We'll see you on Monday. Okay. Yeah, no, I mean, so rate me all 3 Knives Out movies. Is it number 1's the best, number 2's good, number 3 is better, or where does it rank in between the other two?
All right. I think number 1 is number 1.
Yeah.
Because it was such a shock. I mean, not a shock in a bad way, but here's this really great movie. Here's a murder mystery, which is a very traditional movie what's the word I'm looking, genre. A very traditional movie genre, which they kind of revived and brought in all these really cool characters and these great plot twists.
Yeah.
And it did have Ana de Armas, okay? And that helps. And so I think that was number 1. Number 2, I'm going with Wake Up Dead Man. I think it's a better mystery than number 2. I think that it's a little bit more serious than number 2.
Yeah.
I think it really gets into the characters a lot more depth than number 2. And then number 2 is third, but not bad. That one's called
Yeah.
Glass Onion for people
Yeah.
who don't remember. I think that was more of a quirky, fun kind
That
of,
got seriously wacky.
not to be taken seriously.
Yeah. That one got seriously wacky. It was great, but it was just like, if the first one was grounded in reality, this one is like a Mad Libs version of the first one. You know what I mean? It was like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
But if this is a return to kind of the original Knives Out, I'm all about it. I think that's fantastic.
Well, and that's what it is. And, and I think, the seriousness is really cool because, they kind of play up in the movie that, here's Benoit Blanc, he's a guy, he's an atheist. He doesn't believe in God. He doesn't believe in the Bible and all those things. And here he is at this church, and these things are happening around him with people who are very devout and very religious. And he's willing to talk about these things with the younger priest, who is really, really good too. And so you see him being inquisitive. You see him being interested in investigating. Not like some brittle guy who's laughing at everything going around him. And I thought that was very refreshing.
That's good. That's good. All right, next week you got your homework. You got a list already in your head. You're all ready to go.
I have several that are in my head. I think the hard part for me is I gotta bring the heat, man. I can give you all the typical Christmas movies.
Yeah.
And everybody will be like, yeah, I saw those.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to bring some that maybe you haven't
Bring
seen.
something new.
Maybe that are surprising. Yeah.
All right. I'm all about that. My wife told me day before yesterday, she said, "Did you know Lethal Weapon's a Christmas movie?" I'm like, "What?"
Yeah, baby. Yes, it is. Does it happen at Christmas? Yes, it does. Is there a Christmas tree? Yes, there is.
She said American Psycho's a Christmas movie too. I'm like, okay, you got to stop. You can't make it.
Okay. She is technically correct.
I know. I know. It's just one of those things. All right, Willie Waffle Movies, critic extraordinaire. I'm going to stop saying that eventually one day. It's been 10 years, man. I'm having a hard time. All right. Thank you, my friend. We will see you next week for a happy Christmas ending. Okay. Thanks.
See you then.
Thanks for coming on board, folks. We're out of time. Monday, we're going to dive into my favorite Christmas movies and shows and more, and yours as well. All next week. It's going to be fun stuff. We'll see you. Have a great weekend.
We've shed our terrestrial radio skin, and now we are slimy lizard internet people. It's the Michael Duke Show.